The picture that Australia has outside is of a white monocultural country, when really there's so much of richness and diversity here and so many stories just waiting to be told.
We are kind of importing ideas from overseas. South Asian diaspora's story, they are never told to the Australians.
At the moment, I think there are 3 parallel Australias which are happening at the same time. TV is the prime example. There is White Australia, which is the ABC. There's SBS, which is Multicultural Australia. There's NITV, which is Indigenous Australia. It's almost there's 3 different narratives existing at the same time. But it's very rarely any of those 3 narratives are speaking to each other.
Every migrant remembers the year. Some of them actually remember the date and month as well when they migrated to Australia. 2003 is coming up to be 15 years. I support myself with my day job, working as an IT engineer. But I think theatre is the reason that I live for. I was kind of constantly battling with these thoughts, whether I should keep accepting these roles, which kind of stereotypes me as an actor with my skin color, or something else. I've created Nautanki Theatre. The aspiration is of storytelling of South Asian diaspora.
Your colonizers have kicked themselves out of the EU. Brexit, own goal.
Your colonizers moved the goalpost.
Your colonizers invented torture.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they did.
The platforms like this are definitely creating opportunities for diverse actors.
I remember at first being overwhelmed by the emptiness of this place. In Bombay, there is no quiet. In Melbourne, some days there is only quiet.
The spaces are opening up, but still there is a rigid control, there is a monopoly. An umbrella organization, in their calendar year, they might actually include one play just to tick the box as a diverse work, but their work not necessarily diverse work all the time. It's a bit difficult for independent theatre company like Nautanki Theatre, whose prime responsibility is to create diverse work or work that talks about the South Asian diaspora. There is complete disparity and the flow of funding is completely different. It's changing slowly, but it's not enough.
I did truly understand how the ground wobbles when you first arrive here and only begins to steady itself when you have wobbled with it for a while and then learned to secure it with the toil of your own hands and the untwisting of your own tongue. For me to understand my position as a migrant in this country, one way to do it was to write about this sort of thing, express it artistically. I think it's extremely hard as a first generation immigrant to be an artist because you don't have social networks to fall back on, family support, to fall back on. When I first migrated to Australia, I used to smile at anyone who looked like an Indian. The aim was to establish a shared connection, as if to say, I understand. We are 2 peas in a strange pod. The reason I wrote the stories in The Permanent Resident was because I couldn't see too many people like me in Australian literature. And I felt, I would like to write about someone like me, first generation Indian immigrant, woman's perspective. I think seeing yourself in literature and your experiences reflected in literature or a film or a painting, it's just a powerful thing. It makes you feel validated. It makes you feel visible. I would say it's very important for people like us, first generation immigrants, to claim a space in the Australian literary and artistic landscape, because that's our reality. That's what Australia is. Look around us. We are trying to create something new and trying to reimagine what it means to be an Australian.
My name is Jiva Parthipan. I work in the arts. I've been in Australia for 8 years. Before that, I lived in London for a long time. I initially trained in classical Indian dance, Bharatanatyam, when I was younger, and I did a degree in contemporary dance. I also started making my own work using autobiography. I started using biography because at that time I felt there weren't very other narratives available for people of colour or people from different backgrounds. So I thought, let me start talking about sort of what I know the best, really. I visit the northern part of Sri Lanka on a scholarship. The homes of my now deceased grandparents are occupied by refugees. I'm surprised to find that the only memento from that period which remains is this picture of my uncle. And after 8 years of working in that medium, I found that was also limiting my own sort of vision and artistic practice. I wanted to make work or enable other people to make works and write my biography out of it. I made sure I was working with other communities rather than South Asian communities alone. And I think that was a really good way of not trying to be labelled or boxed in by your own ethnicity. I also do have a day job working as a cultural development officer for STARTS, which is a refugee agency based in Western Sydney. Recently, through work, we co-curated Little Baghdad, and we worked with the Gandwan Women's Group and partnered them up with the Iraqi Women's Group to make artwork, and I thought that was a very positive experience. And I'm still trying to learn, I think, and also to listen, and I think that's really important.
As an art practitioner, I want to see Australian society as a cross-cultural country where two cultures will start talking, they will start engaging themselves meaningfully.
It's really important to champion people from minority groups who are telling their own stories, to read work by diverse artists, see films by diverse artists, see exhibitions by diverse artists. When you find opportunities for yourself, try and bring others along with you. There are brilliant diverse artists in our communities and we need to hear their voices.